We have new details regarding Tesla's Gigafactory in Mexico, and other manufacturers should be worried. We're starting over at electric today. We also have news about steering wheels falling off for Tesla. We'll talk about Volkswagen building their Scout assembly plant in South Carolina. And we'll also, at the end, talk about the Hyundai Kona and the Nissan Ariya's steering wheels falling off, as well as Tesla. So weird things going on. If you're new to the channel, my name's Kirk. This is Kirky Cars, where I talk about electrified industry auto news here. This is my second channel. Check out my main channel for more regular industry auto news. Okay, so Tesla has not mentioned a whole lot of things about their Gigafactory in Mexico. Instead, we're getting a lot of this information coming out. Nuevo Leon's Governor Samuel Garcia. And this massive Tesla facility will span 4,200 acres. That's twice the size Tesla has secured to build Gigafactory Texas and all adjoining projects. He also confirmed Tesla plans to spend about $5 billion to build the factory, which is in line with the planned capital expenditure at other Gigafactories. But hold the phone there. Things are cheaper in Mexico. So he's spending $5 billion. So let's assume he would build a similar size factory here in America. That would cost way more than $5 billion. Garcia says Tesla plans to employ 7,000 people at Gigafactory Mexico directly. Now, why does it say directly? Because there are going to be other suppliers there that will also be benefiting from this factory and also affecting employment as well. What's interesting is that this 7,000 people is on par or lower than other Tesla Gigafactories. But this facility is twice the size of Austin. How could they have the same people, or about half the people, for the same amount of space? And I really think it comes down to their new vision for automation and assembly. They won't be building old platform vehicles. It's all on this new platform, and Tesla said it's going to drastically reduce building costs and probably manufacturing costs in general when you don't have to pay as many people. And the people you're paying in Mexico aren't expecting wages like they are here in the United States. So you pay half the amount of people, you pay a fraction of what you pay them here in America, and that should allow Teslas to be built at ridiculously cheap prices. I had to shut the door because the little ones were busting and you probably could hear them in the background. They confirm here that, yes, 7,000 people are working at a Gigafactory in Mexico, but it could create tens of thousands of jobs indirectly. Suppliers move into the region. Okay, and then we have words from Tom Zhu, which is Tesla's new head of automotive and person in charge of Gigafactories. Make sure to watch my video talking about Tom Zhu if you want to learn more about him. And he plans to build this factory at record pace, akin to Gigafactory Shanghai, which went from breaking ground to production in just 9 months. And Garcia confirmed Tesla told him its plans to start producing cars next year. 2024, they'll be producing Teslas in Mexico at a fraction of the cost probably than what they do here. We're going to go to my spreadsheet that I made this week, because in the investor day on March 1st, Tesla said that a Model 3 is cheaper to own over 5 years than a Corolla. And they didn't have any other information other than that. So I ran the numbers, and like a Model 3 comes nowhere close to the price of a Corolla, even after 10 years. And I have these numbers here. But here's the thing. If they come out with a Model 2 or whatever they're going to call it at $25,000, you get the EV tax credit. So the effective price, assuming you can take advantage of that $7,500 tax credit. Effective price is only $17,500. And let's say, its efficiency is somewhere, in best case scenario, somewhere around 4 miles per kilowatt hour. Average cost of electricity in the United States is around 14 kilowatt hours. So it can be lower than that. It can be higher than that, especially if you're doing public charging. But if you're charging at like off-peak hours, it could be maybe half of this, for example. So yearly fuel is much lower than what it would be with gasoline on a Corolla, for example, in this Model 2. Estimated yearly maintenance, it's hard to predict. I just kind of put some estimations out there from other resources. And insurance per year, well, the insurance on this vehicle, it would cost less, so it would also be less. So maybe I'll just put $1,500 as a guess. And maybe, I don't know what the Chevy Bolt's insurance is, but we'll put maybe $1,800 here because it costs a little bit more. 5-year cost of ownership is less than $30,000, where like a Corolla hybrid, is about $37,000. If this vehicle comes out of Mexico by the end of 2024, the OEMs, the traditional manufacturers, should be shaking in their boots. And I think a lot of them are. We just saw Toyota come out recently saying we need to get back to the drawing boards and we need to have a new platform out by 2026. But here's the thing. Tesla seems to be pretty far ahead when it comes to affordable EVs, profitable EVs, at least 5 to 10 years compared to most manufacturers out there. And they're not slowing down. Their models are getting a little bit stale. They've looked the same for a while. Things are changing underneath the model with the software and their manufacturing prowess and advancements, but the cars kind of look the same. So I think Tesla could benefit from coming up with some refreshes in the Model 3, Model Y, even if they're just completely cosmetic. There are some angles of the Model Y, I'm like, that's a beautiful car. And then I see it from the front and I'm like, that's really ugly. So anyways, it wouldn't take much to refresh those vehicles to make them look even better. But I need to get back on track here, and let me know what your thoughts are down below about Tesla building this factory south of the border, and if you think it's going to really throw a wrench into everyone's EV plans. Even the gas cars could be upended by a potential less than $20,000 electric car with no gas cost associated with it. Okay, so over at Reuters, US opens Tesla probe and reports that steering wheels are falling off, and that's not a short amount of them. 120,000 2023. These are brand new cars, Model Ys, after 2 reports of steering wheels falling off while driving. The steering wheels in both vehicles, which had low mileage, completely detached, and the vehicles were delivered to owners missing the retaining bolt that attaches the steering wheel to the steering column. This is grounds absolutely for a recall we'll probably see in the coming weeks. Obviously, this can't be fixed with an over-the-air update. Now, I'm not going to read too much into that, but let's just see the difference. A traditional Japanese maker like Nissan compared to Tesla. So we have the same issue going on. Steering wheels are falling off on electric cars. Tesla hasn't done anything about it, and that's why they're getting investigated for 120,000 vehicles. But over at Motor Trend, Nissan already recalled for steering wheel that might fall off. They say, unlike Tesla's recent issue with steering wheels pulling right off the column in the Model 3, Model Y, this doesn't appear to be a factory defect. Instead, it stems from a fix done at the port that involved replacing the steering wheel. But the port repair may have led to the steering wheel bolt being left loose or not reinstalled at all. And if the bolt is gone, it's possible for the driver of the Aria to pull the steering wheel off the column while driving. While a loose bolt wouldn't allow the wheel to completely come off, it wouldn't be properly attached to the steering column, and you still might not be able to steer the vehicle properly. Now, Nissan themselves have found that only 2 Arias had a loose steering wheel bolt out of the 96 that were audited by dealers. At that time, 418 Arias were in the United States, and this recall was issued by Nissan, not by the NHTSA forcing them to. And this was due to an abundance of caution. And according to the report, over 1,000 Arias are subject to this recall, about 1% being affected. So here's what the technicians need to do to fix this. It's a pretty simple fix. But that issue is already being addressed by Nissan. Tesla still yet to address the steering wheels falling off here. And stay tuned because I will update you guys on what Tesla ends up doing with the falling off of the steering wheels. Okay, we have an all-new Kona Electric. It's bigger, it's wider, and this is going to help it compete a lot better with, let's say, the new Honda HR-V, the Toyota Corolla Cross as well. But here's the thing, when we get this in America, it's going to have a long-range 65.4 kilowatt-hour battery with an estimated 490 kilometers of range. Now that's on the WLTP cycle. So 490 times 0.62 gets us about 303 miles, but when we divide it by 1.14, range will be around 266 miles on the EPA cycle. It's a rough estimate. So current Kona range here in the United States is about 258. So we could see about a 10-mile boost here. Now the current Kona has 201 horsepower and almost 300 pound-feet of torque. I drove this in downtown Miami, and I actually saw a Kona Electric on the streets here in Naples, which is very rare, because most of them are for ZEV states. And it's a perfect city car. It was really, really fast. That thing will roast the tires. All right, here we go. They're also increasing the power, 160 kilowatts, which gets us to about 215 horsepower over the 201 we had replacing it. Now, there's also a standard range battery that gives you a much less potent engine, or should I say electric motor up front, we're not going to be seeing that here stateside, I don't believe. Now, unfortunately, this is not on the eGMP platform, which means it doesn't have the 800-volt charging system. It is 400 volts. And so it is going to charge at about double the speed as it would on Ioniq 5. Ioniq 5 will charge 10 to 80% in about 18 to 20 minutes. This does it in 41 minutes. It does have vehicle to load though, which is great to see. And over at Automotive News, Hyundai is predicting the electric Kona will become the model line's top seller. They will have a hybrid and they will have a gasoline model in Europe. Meanwhile, the EV Kona will be produced there in Europe, specifically the Nosovice Czech Republic plant, and I could have butchered that name. Volkswagen is building a $2 billion Scout assembly plant in the United States, specifically in South Carolina. This will allow them not only to sell directly to consumer and sidestep the dealerships, which is their plan, but it'll allow them to qualify for the EV tax credit, which the ID4 has begun production here in the United States, or began production here in the United States, so it does qualify now. But this is great news for Volkswagen. So this $2 billion assembly plant will be in Blythewood, South Carolina, and they're planning to build the electric pickup, which we're expecting to be the Scout, and a rugged SUV. So think of this as Volkswagen's answer, and maybe more of a mainstream and less expensive answer to the Rivian R1T and R1S. They will start production in 2026. Now, isn't that interesting? We just talked about Tesla starting in 2024, just 1 year after breaking ground. And it takes a traditional OEM 2 to 3 years longer to get a plant up and running to build EVs. They're estimating 4,000 jobs to be created. They will actually be producing a battery plant for Volkswagens in Canada, it looks like, but we don't have any information at this point in time. And the vehicles there will not build any Volkswagens. They'll only be on the Scout brand. And that also includes no Audis being built there. And there's a lot more to this article, but I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole. We're still 3 years out from seeing Scout pickup trucks or Scout electric pickup trucks. If you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. Hit the like button if you haven't. That helps me out so much. And I'll see you guys in the next news update at Kirky Cars. Have a good day and peace.